Could muscle memory from clockwise training throw off a horse's stride on anti-clockwise tracks? Now that's something to think about. You win some, you lose more.
Hello and welcome to Out the Gate. This is where you'll get the weekend's best racing intel in 30 minutes, more or less. I'm your host, Alex Donnelly. Big racing around the country this week. We have Group 1s in Sydney. We have a win and you're into the Caulfield Cup and, of course, the Quokka over at Ascot. Joined, as always, by Racenet's Gilbert, Gardiner. Gil, we're going down the highway this weekend.
Yes, we are. Well, I'm not. But, yes, the racing is going down the highway this weekend, and I'm glad to see you here. I would have thought you'd be on a junket to Perth or something.
No, we sent Jet over. I've got a good mate's wedding tomorrow. That's why I'm not going. I think that took precedence. But don't worry, I'm off to Hong Kong on Monday for Champions Day. And as always, up in Sydney, fresh off what was a massive weekend of racing on Championships Day 2. We still got 2 Group 1s left. It's Mitch Cohen. Morning, Mitch.
Morning, boys. Yep, jet setting again. Nice. We'll be at the coalface again, Gil and I, just doing our best. And after this week, we'll definitely be doing our best because it pretty much goes downhill a little bit in Sydney after this. Although we do have a couple of the road shows as we do, but a couple of Group 1s left on Saturday. Hopefully, we can find some winners. Yeah,
of course, there are some good racing, but of course, in the coming weeks, we'll obviously go across to Wyong and Scone and Hawkesbury's coming up, and then we move on to Queensland and South Australia for the Group 1s. I think there's Group 1s every week still for the next 8 weeks. So we've still got plenty of good racing coming up. And don't worry, Gil, plenty of Victorians for you to find in the Group 1s.
And got Warrnambool. Don't forget Warrnambool. Forget about Wyong and all those joints. Warrnambool's the big...
The 2 best country carnivals coming up, Warrnambool and Wagga. And this year, they're not in the same week. So you could hit both this year if you wanted. I've always wanted to do the double, but never have. Of course, we are brought to you by Tab Touch. Big weekend for them with the Quokka this weekend and the Western Trilogy, of course, with the Greyhounds, the harness, and, of course, the $5 million Quokka. But as I said, the best bet's Quaddie legs from Randwick and Mornington. We are going to take a deep dive on the Quokka. But before we get started, follow Racenet tweets on X. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram as well. And, of course, on YouTube. Make sure you do like and subscribe. So anytime we do a video, it does pop up in your feed. The support means a lot. Well, let's get out the gate. Group 1, all-age stakes over 1,400 metres. Here is the first race we'll take a look at. Speed map up on your screen. And Mitch, geez, I think the real winner out of this one is Pericles because he's not going to settle in the second half of the field about 100 yards off the leaders as he did in the Doncaster.
Yeah, you probably think he ends up a pair back in this race. I think the speed map's probably right. I think Bayvark probably takes it up from that draw and does what he does best. We saw what he did when he led in the Golden Rose during the spring. I'd imagine he does a similar thing here with Royal Patronage also up there. Depending how he comes back, he's obviously off a layup first up in this, and then it'll be up to the rest of them to catch the leading 2, I'd say. But you're right, Pericles probably gets the camp on him, and I think he's a good chance in this race.
Pretty interesting race. Of course, we do have the return of the Caulfield Cup and Melbourne Cup champion in half. Yours, he's off on his way to Queensland, I would assume, Gil?
Yes, that's exactly where he's going. So, no, this is a little, ring rust. Get the ring rust out here.
Hollandale, Doomben Cup, Q22.
They're the 3, yep. And then come back here for a Cox Plate and basically stay at Flemington thereafter. So,
so he's going to go David, Turnbull, Cox Plate Cup.
Basically, yeah.
Good prep.
Good prep.
Good racing managing that.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It just makes life easy. He just has to walk out of the stable door across the road and he's there at Flemington. But, look, I mean, it's very interesting. He's an intriguing runner in this, isn't it? You wouldn't expect to see a Melbourne Cup winner necessarily resuming in a race like this against a bunch of sprinters. But
Fiorente, the year he ran second, resumed in this, and I reckon he ran in the placings.
Well, there you go. Well, look, there's a little bit of, quiet confidence, I suppose, around him. He's come back a bit sharper, and he has to because they're trying to get him. They're trying to find out whether he's a Cox Plate horse. So it'll be a very interesting watch, and I think, as you might have said off air, you probably expect to see him sort of charging home. And
he's locked on for 5th. If you can bet positionally, he will genuinely run 5th because he's going to do no work from there. But also, we do have the return of Fangirl. She's first up after an injury riddled last sort of 6 to 12 months. But we'll take a look at a couple of replay here, Mitch. The main one is the TJ Smith Stakes. It is the main lead up. And, well, around the turn here, you're happy if you're on Jimmy. You're happy if you're on Briasa. And they didn't do much. And Giga Kick picks up late and charges through. But Jolly Star too strong.
Yeah, I thought Jimmy was okay. I don't think, Jolie Star was terrific. Obviously, Jolie Star not here on the road to Royal Ascot here. I think the run I'd probably most like to highlight would be the run of Giga Kick. He was prepped up to hit the TJ Smith 3rd up. He ran well. He just looked halfway down the straight like he was going to run down Jolie Star, but just couldn't quite get there.
Yeah, he almost looked like if he sort of half blew out there. And of course, you've got Jolly Star and Overpass going to Royal Ascot, confirmed yesterday. Overpass running on the first day of Royal Ascot as well.
Against
Asfoora, potentially also against Charmstone and also Generosity. So look, the Australians are on the first four. We can just take that to the bank right now. First four of the Australians, and Jolly Star wins on the Saturday.
Yeah, well, I think Charmstone's going to the 1200.
Oh, well, it'll run second to Jolly Star then. So there we go. So that's I think the punting for the week there is done. But that is the main replay because you've got a couple from the Doncaster. You've obviously got Tom Kitten from the Australian Cup as well. Where are you looking at this, Gil? Because I feel like you're falling for a trap. I thought you've given up on this horse and you've just fallen in because what is it? J-Mac and Barrier 4? What is it?
I'm nothing but loyal. And
you are a North Melbourne fan.
It basically comes down to one single factor. If Angel Capital is going to win a Group 1, this is the Group 1
I swear we've said that 3 times.
No,
already.
but this is the one. This is the one. I mean, the only problem with this race is if they could transpose it to Caulfield.
Yeah.
On a good, decent, fair Caulfield circuit,
Well,
1400
Caulfield is.
Caulfield 1400's his go. So he hasn't got that this week, but he's got 1400. I do like the fact that Waller sort of took him out, or he basically hasn't run him since he's ran in that William Reid behind Jigsaw.
Oh yeah, he ran in that, didn't he?
He ran second in that, made ground along the wrong part of the track. That was the day that the track was absolutely cast. Like you could not make any ground inside about 6 lanes. And Angel Capital out the back sort of worked himself into second. Look, it basically comes down to trusting the process. And this horse, everyone around this horse says he's a Group 1 colt, and he's just a matter of time. Well, you know what? This is the time. He has to win the Group 1 on Saturday. Otherwise, you may as well retire him, send him to stud to Geelong, and he just won't win another group. I can't see him winning. He's not quite good enough to win a 1200 metre Group 1, I don't think.
Don't think he'll run a mile either.
And I'm not sure. Well, maybe he does. But I mean, that'll be that's maybe the spring or next autumn option. But if they can pinch a Group 1, and this looks like a race that you can pinch it. I mean, I wasn't enamoured with Giga Kick there. I was on Giga Kick in the TJ. I thought it was just a run. Jimmy Starr put a line through. I think he's had too long a campaign, or not too long a campaign. His spring, I think, he might be feeling the pinch of the spring.
Bottomed me out. We went Everest, Russell Balding, and then the 1400 Group 1 at Caulfield as well.
That's right. And then you've got to come back in the autumn and try and perform. And I still can't help but go back to that William Reid and how disappointed Kieran and the team were after that. I guess and they know their horses, and they know with all the data and all that sort of jazz, they know when a horse is around the mark. And just reading body language, they were absolutely deflated. And he ended up going to Sydney and ran just a run. And then, I mean, the others are sort of thereabouts. So I think if Angel Capital is going to win a Group 1, this is the one that he's going to win. And I think he will.
Yeah, there's every chance he's in a new set of colours and gelded in the spring. If he doesn't win this, I don't think he's a bit of a nutcase sometimes in the yard. And Mitch, you've probably had a close-up look at him a few times. Has his parading actually improved? Because he was a nut job first up.
Not so much in the parade. First up, he sort of threw it away before he even had some issues at the gate there. So I think Gil's, geez, you're harsh. Just a run, Giga Kick. It was the TJ mistake. It's the best sprint of the autumn. He's finished half a length off the winner. He's nearly won the race. He's finished second, just a run. I think very, very harsh. I thought the run was more than adequate. I'm happy to be with him in a race I think is pretty wide open. I think there's a number of chances, as you'll see, in the Quaddie. Last time he was at 1400 metres was, of course, when he won this race. It feels like a lifetime ago, but he was also ran a very good second in the TJ Smith on that occasion. So we're back at the scene of the crime of his Group 1 in Sydney here. I think he can run well, but as I said, I am warming to Bayvart in this race as well. I think he can run a terrific race on speed. If he, I think 1400 metres is his best distance, and he'll take a lot of catching. And if Nash rates him correctly, which we know Nash is very good at doing on these front runners, he might take a lot of beating. But Giga Kick, Angel Capital, look, I've given up. I'm not with Gil. I've given up on him. I think, does he race better down your way against the Beeb graders in Melbourne, boys? I think maybe he does, but he's back in Sydney now. So look, that Group 1, will he go to stud anyway? I don't know. He's ran a lot of Group 1 placings. I don't know if he'll be getting gelded because, there's got to be a Group 1 for him somewhere. I just don't know if it's on Saturday.
Yeah, well, no, I'm Invincible didn't win a Group 1, so he was a pretty handy
I
sire.
think,
No, I think he's done enough. He's placed in multiple Group 1s. He's shown he's
sending a bear to him.
He's a beautiful looking horse. I mean, he's a striking animal. If he puts a stamp on them, look, I'm a believer. We've supported him along the way. I thought he's running the Newmarket was decent, aided by a track pattern on that occasion, poked up along the inside. Basically, the 3 horses nearest the rail ran the top 3 placings. And that first up run in Sydney wasn't great. I think something flared up, didn't it, in the barrier next to him, and he freaked out, kicked out, and threw the race away a little bit, as Mitch suggested. But no, I think he'll become an A-grader on Saturday in Sydney.
Yeah, haven't mentioned him. Baywalked $5.50, and Jimmy Star currently a $4.80 favourite, which feels like the market will change come race time. I think Pericles at $12 is a bet. But let's get to the Group 1 size, the Group 1 Champagne Stakes for the 2-year-olds, 1,600 metres here. 2 main lead-ups, which we'll have a look at, which will be the Fernhill and the Sires. But there's the speed map up on your screen. And I really liked the run of Solan last week. Mitch obviously got a mile back from a sticky gate, now draws barrier 1, and it doesn't look to be too much speed in this race.
Yeah, I'd imagine Diameter obviously ended up leading last time. I'd imagine Grinzinger Hart would go forward as well from not on that. I think down in the VRC size when she won that race, she led them up. So I'd imagine from a reasonable draw on Saturday, you'd probably see her going forward too. I think Campon D'Italia, the favourite here, he went back in his first 2 runs, in his runs over 1,200 metres, but James sort of settled in a midfield spot, just a little bit worse than midfield in that size. So I'd imagine he probably lands in a similar spot as well, and he's going to be the horse to beat, you'd think.
Yeah, we'll take a look at the Group 1 size first of all, and there is Camponi D'Italia just sort of popping off heels there, saying goodbye to Alibaba. But this race, they ran very quickly early, and he just absolutely loved it, but also down the outside in the red and yellow, as well as Miss Chanel, who hasn't been done any favours by the barriers.
Yeah, Campion D'Italia we're all waiting for him to get to 1,400 metres, and this race just set up perfectly for him, didn't it? Once that speed was on, he was able to unleash. Miss Chanel was terrific. She went back and had to from the draw, but she was closing off fantastic as well. She's been up for a fair while, Miss Chanel, so interested to see how she goes on Saturday as well. But they're probably the 2 pick of the runs in that race, you'd think.
Fair few of them out on their feet late there, Gil. We step up to the mile, which is what we had last week here, where we do have a fair few runners in the pink down the outside is Solan. You've also got Diameter there as well. And was that even that one poking through late there? It actually hasn't accepted there, the thing of O'Shea's. But, geez, the horse of Benny Brisbane, good job for him as well. Small team has 2 runners in a Group 1 Champagne as well, with Grinzinger Hart having one last start in the size here at Flemington.
Yes, no doubt. No, it's a terrific effort. For Ben, he's a hard-working operator. It doesn't matter where the race meeting is; he's usually there, front and centre, and he's often strapping his horses. I don't know what he's going to do here on Saturday with 2 in the race. He'll have to try and sort of pony up both of them, I think.
No, you flick one to the pony. There you are.
But he's a very hard-working operator, Wangaratta, Northern Victoria sort of way, and that affords him opportunities. So he's able to sort of, you often see him in those Riverina sort of races.
He's always at Wagga.
And that one of his runners here, the one Grinzinger Hart, the size produce, the VRC size produce winner, of course, trialled up at Wagga, as you noted the other day, as a little stepping stone to this race. So no, it's a terrific achievement. Wish him all the best. And they do genuinely look live chances. 2 live chances in the 2-year-old Group 1. Can't fault that for a small team. He'd be lucky to have 40 horses.
Yeah, and I will note it did trial well against a horse who'd won the Albury Cup at its last start. So as a 2-year-old, you can sort of go through that and say, all right, it's in form. But where are you leaning in this one, Gil? I'm just going to have a look here. I'm just assuming you're tipping a Victorian.
No. See, everyone assumes that I just tip Victorians, but you know what? We're taking on the Victorians.
First time
throwing a little bit of a dart actually in that replay. If you wind it back, there's a fiery redhead out the back along the rail, bailed up, could not get out and going is Sumac with the yellow cap. Chestnut filly there, just trying to get herself into some clear galloping room, went to the line completely untested. Yes, it's a risk. Sometimes those flashing light runs that you think, oh, surely
you're backing on what it would have done, not what it did.
That's right. And you look at the form, and it's a 4-start maiden, placed only once at its second career start. But I think the extra trip will suit. I think it's drawn kindly on this occasion, so hopefully shouldn't get too far back, as you touched on, not a heap of speed. Yeah. So should only, from barrier 6, you'd like to think you're a pair, maybe 2 back with even luck. And in this type of race, again, all of these 2-year-olds have been up and going for a while, haven't they? So at any point in time, they can drop off the perch, as we know, the 2-year-olds. The form can look exceptional. Like you look at Miss Chanel, 6-start maiden, placed 5 of 6 runs. Super effort. Came down to Victoria, went back up to Sydney.
Haven't missed it.
Haven't missed it, no. And Zambalis, I wish...
He was the best of the slow ones late there, I think.
Yeah, he's the one. He's probably the one out of the Blue Diamond. I would have thought we were all thinking, these are sort of his races. And if they'd put him away and come into this one, I'm not doubting.
He's running everything.
He's running everything, yeah. And look, if he comes out and wins, all power to him. Lion-hearted effort. The Italian, I was against the Italian last start, so I'll take him on again. So we'll go with the filly, Sumac.
Honestly thought you would have been with Nomadic there, given it's the half cheese at Alibi.
Is it?
Yeah.
There you go.
Mitch, you're with the favourite. You were keen on him last start.
Yeah, and I've put a line through that Fernhill form line, I think, on Saturday. So happy to scrap that. I think, look, they wouldn't have pushed on with this colt if they didn't think he was right and ready to go to a mile. He's got the Group 1 on the resume. He's already got a home at stud in the future, but he's obviously in great order. He's looked like a horse that's going to get a mile. As I said before, I think the draw, it's good for him. He'll sort of just land at somewhere midfield and hopefully just show that turn of foot that we've seen basically on every start. He's just still was learning his craft at the start of this preparation, but he's just getting better and better. So I think he can win on Saturday. I think the dangers, look, I think it's Southend is a really nice colt. I think his 2 wins take nothing away from him. He's a colt going in the right direction, that's for sure. So if there's any danger, I think it's got to be him. And the horse that was chasing him that I'm going to throw in all my multiples on Saturday and probably have something a little bit the place, Nomadic. He was excellent as well in that lead-up run. He looks like a horse that's going to relish a mile on Saturday at about $10 the place. I reckon he can run a bottler too.
Don't mind it. We need to get across to, of course, Ascot, where the Quokka is. $5 million on the line, of course. Speed map up on your screen there now, where Spywire's drawing the inside, but bit of speed outside. Jigsaw, he's just going to get up and rolling straight across there. The market currently has Jigsaw $4.80, Calibus $4.80, and our mate Ray Magnera is $4.60. So really tight market there. And Luana Miss has been really well backed early. She's currently $7.50. I think Smooth Chino went up about $15 as well. It's halved its price since the market's opened. Well, I know what you're going to do, Gil. Like this one was pretty obvious. This is, this was Jigsaw. He's up and about. What is it? 2 Group 1s in 3 starts, now going for this. And it's a great story because who doesn't love Sydney Alderson?
Yeah, that's right. And Logan Bates, what a great job he's done as well, a rising star apprentice, to be associated with a horse like this and to execute on the big stage. Went over to his hometown in New Zealand, or home nation in New Zealand, and delivered on the big stage. Cindy could have put on a senior, could have put on anyone, but she trusted the apprentice.
What's he done wrong on this horse the last 6 months?
And the way he's handled this, he's not an easy. He has got easier to ride. Is what you hear. Like he was an absolute nutcase early doors, but has become a bit more mature and a bit more tractable. And I think that's the important thing. And I actually don't think he will lead. I reckon they'll let Spywire lead, and he'll just sit off him. I think.
Spywire will hit the 150 metre mark, and I reckon he's been in good form the last couple of months, but I reckon he might curl up in a high pressure, big money race. Yeah.
Look, they've always had a big opinion of him. He ran up in Magic Millions. I reckon he's been up a couple of times. Yeah, I think. And obviously won the, what do we call it, the Country Discovery on Good Friday. I had a bet on that too. That was a great result. While we were watching just before, was it during or just before the North Melbourne game? It was during.
And then the amazing comeback.
Yes, that's right. So it was a good hour or so there at the Ascot Vale Hotel. But anyway, we digress. The Spywire, I think, will go and roll, and that's the way. He's an absolute speedball, and they have had this race in their mind for some time. So I think he'll go out and lead. But I think Jigsaw, in the form that he's in, he's going for 7 straight. That's an effort in itself. Yeah, he's won his past 6, so he's going for 7 straight. 2 Group 1s. He's won the Meteorite. He's just a collector of big money checks. Yeah, so gets the bonuses, gets the money, gets the prize money. I think he'll get the money again. And if you're any good, you're going to have an Angel Capital Jigsaw multi.
Who would have thought that Angel Capital would be the one to let the team down? Mitch, how we look at this? Because obviously there is a lot of good speed in this race, and we saw obviously last year, Joker's Grin, who was in this weekend in Sydney, got over the top of them late. And, geez, it looks to be the same here with one that looks like it'll get a good run on the map.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm with Jeddah Beale. I think he's got a big race in him. His last start, I mean, poor Brad Whittip, he's had a number of close seconds throughout the Sydney Carnival. And again, Jeddah Beale just beaten in that Galaxy, but it was a great run. You're right, he's drawn well here in Barrier 7. I think you should just camp off them. Hopefully they just go mad in front for him and he just unleashes over the top of him. He's got a deadly sprint on his day, Tyler Schiller. Over there to ride him. So fingers crossed for Brad Whittip. He can have his day in the sun in this big race over there on Saturday.
Could muscle memory from clockwise training throw off a horse's stride on anti-clockwise tracks? Now that's something to think about. You win some, you lose more.
We'll get to some of the best bets on the card. Of course, we haven't talked about Mornington yet, Gil. Mornington Cup Day, which is winning you into the Caulfield Cup. We've also got the Hariba as well. But, well, it's a feature day. So your best bet in the feature.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So I'm going to go with the mare, equal favourite, I think she is, or thereabouts.
$5.50 currently.
See what I see. I think she's just been tuning up nicely. She's placed her past 3 starts. Feels like an eternity ago now. What is she now? She's a 60-year-old. Back, I think she only made her first start as a 4-year-old, and they were talking Caulfield Cups. And
she won like 5 on the bounce.
That's right. Yeah, she put on a streak early, a bit of a late bloomer. Had a couple of setbacks, but she's back in form. Puts herself on speed. Awkwardly drawn, but I do like the fact that all of our viewers know Mornington is a bit of a horses for courses track. She has won at Mornington before.
This day last year, wasn't it?
And has the right racing pattern. I reckon you're right. And has this sort of racing pattern that'll suit the track. Now, the favourite, Ambassadorial, is in a similar boat. Goes forward, makes his own luck. I think
this day 2 years ago.
Has he just jumped out of the ground, Ambassadorial, hasn't he? I mean,
stable change.
Yeah, stable change. He's absolutely grown a leg. He's won his past 3. He won a Group 3 last start, the Easter Cup.
Yep.
So
see what I see.
He won that. That's right. So
he looked like he was set for a career over hurdles 12 months ago, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't have been shocked. Yeah, you wouldn't have been shocked if that was the case. So, So anyway, I had a look. Actually, this is the one for the viewers. My old horse that I had since moved on, racing up in northern New South Wales or country Queensland somewhere. Actually, her only win came in her second start at Sandown. It was a lakeside meeting on Wednesday, and Ambassadorial was beaten 10 lengths. So we absolutely smashed Ambassador.
So this is the Timu version of She's an Alibi getting rolled.
Basically. And I was looking back through the form and I thought, gee whiz, that was a shocking maiden, that one. There's barely been a winner to come out of it. But anyway, Ambassadorial's the one. So he'll be up and about, and I think those two will probably be fighting out the finish once more. But I want to go with See What I See. I feel like it's been a campaign that's been aimed at a race like this, because I know that they have got Caulfield Cup and definite spring ambitions. Yeah. And this would be a nice way for the mare to qualify. She will be a 7-year-old in a Caulfield Cup if she's successful. So that would be a challenge in itself, but only lightly raced.
Mitch, we head to your best bet on the day at Randwick. Comes up in race number 4. Market has been absolutely with this horse early. Went up about $2.60 now into $2.10.
Yeah, it should be. And I think anything above even money you should be taking while you can, because I think this horse Plaintiff is a proper Group 1 horse. And we saw that first up. She was excellent in her debut preparation, putting 3 together. And then first up, you kind of wondered how could she possibly win when she drew the absolute car park. Geordie Childs went back, went widest on the turn, and she just unleashed and took care of them quite easily in that PJ Bell. So expecting her to back that up. Better draw on Saturday. He doesn't need to go that far back on Saturday. Geordie Childs rode her at a second start when he said just sort of camped nice and close to the speed. So he can land closer for sure. And then it's just a matter of producing her at the right time. And I think she can win Plaintiff. And I think this is just another tick on the it'll be another win on the resume, but she's going to be destined for really good things, this filly.
Tick her off towards the silk stocking, the Stradbroke, and the Tats Tiara later in the Winter Carnival. Gil, your next best. You're going with the horse last start winner down the straight. Does look well placed on the minimum in the Hariba.
Yes, Pop Award. Well, as we know, horses for courses, and Mornington has a knack of throwing
Find
up
the local.
Some of its locals. Yeah, that's right. And I think this is a race that Lynn Tolson and Leonie Proctor are mother-daughter, and their son and grandson in Luke Cartwright, combining here again. So they got a great win last start at Flemington. They had conditions to suit. I mean, she was the class mare in that race. She was basically, actually, she was probably over the odds.
$10.
Yeah, well over the odds. But she was sort of the class mare in the race and went there and duly won. Now, I think this has been the race that they've had circled. The family has targeted this race multiple times. Luke Cartwright's run second in it a couple of times, I believe. Basically all of their good, any of their sort of good bread and butter sprinters that Lynn and Leone have had are always aimed at the Hariba, and they haven't quite got the job done yet. So I think on Saturday will be the chance with Papa Ward. She's a very consistent performer, and she'll be one of the many winners of local trainers at Mornington on Saturday.
Yeah. Looks a good 1x3 play at the $11 currently with Tab Touch. And Mitch, we head to your next best, comes up in the JRA plate, and like this horse, and then the barrier draw came out, but you're still keen.
Yeah, I am, because I think he's going to go back anyway, and likes of Just Fine and Sunset Park probably just go forward in this race and hopefully set up a nice tempo for him. And Portland hopefully just will go back somewhere and end up in the 2 wide line with a bit of luck. So I think he's really going well, this horse. I've just been sort of waiting for a race. Yeah, you would have hoped for a better draw, but he's been ticking along really nicely this preparation. He had 2 really solid runs over an unsuitable trip. Then he just went to the Neville Selwood, where he got back to last. Was a bit cluttered up early in the straight, but once he got to the outside and got a bit of momentum going, thought he was hitting the line okay. So if they can just sort of get him to the outside on Saturday, no danger, with a nice tempo up front, I think he can tick off a nice race and win on Saturday. So Portland for me, and probably the most informed stable in New South Wales at the moment. Matt Smith coming off a Group 1 last weekend, had a treble there at Warwick Farm. So chips in Matt Smith at the moment.
Yeah, he is. Well, of course, Mitch was super keen on Autoflyer all the way through, and it paid off. But I can almost guarantee you that if he runs a placing or even wins this, Portland will be off to Wagga in 13 days' time, because Matt Smith always has runs spinning around there. And, well, if you win that, you're in the big dance. Value plays Gil. Well, you've just stuck with the locals again, because in fairness with you, I agree with the sentiment. Jake Noonan always wins on Mornington Cup Day. You can fact check me on it. I'm probably wrong, but I remember him and Tony winning one at about 50s a year or 2 ago.
Yes. No, I'm a big supporter of the Mornington Cup Noonan combination. It's been quite profitable over the years.
I look forward to when Jack Turnbull starts training, Kieran Maher's assistant, Mornington boy, puts Jake Noonan on his first ever runner on this day and it wins.
Oh, boy. Yeah. There you go. There's a little bit of work for you. I was looking through, and Jake's actually got a few good rides, so this might not be his only one, but Chartres, race 6, number 10, Chartres. I'm a bit of a sucker for Chartres. He hasn't won for a long time. Probably the last time I reckon I've either tipped him or backed him in 8 out of his last 10 starts. I don't think he's had a win or barely placed. In fact, he hasn't placed at all. So Saturday's going to be the one. Mornington.
He's 1.5 over a mile.
1.5 over a mile, drawn well. Jake Noonan on, has a nice weight in comparison. I mean, all power to Wonder Boy, the favourite. He's also a local, popped up to Sydney, I believe, last start and ran an incredible race, maybe 2 back.
Last start beat by Captain Fury.
There you go. So he's clearly, a horse that's going, or that's tried to go places. 4-year-old gelding now, it gets a bit harder for him. So he's quite firm in the market. Got Jamie Mott, a prolific winner at Mornington, is Jamie, also another local. So, but we've got a bit of a weight swing on that. Everything has to go right for Chartres, but it just jumps out, just ticks a few of the boxes, track conditions, distance, just ticks a few of the boxes, home deck, and it's just building nicely. 4th up, you'd think, should be right at the top of its game now, and wouldn't shock to see him run a cheeky race at odds.
Don't mind it. We go to the value bet for Mitch in Sydney. The win in your sold to Hong Kong. Frank Packer played over 2,000 for the 3-year-olds, and little homebred for Seymour Bloodstock here.
Yeah, they don't go straight to Hong Kong. They've got an option to go to Queensland or South Australia first. They've got a little bit of life. Yeah, they've got a little bit of life yet before we see them in a Hong Kong derby a little bit later. But yeah, I can't. Really happy to have a bet here, and Matt Smith we trust. But Eureka Rebel, I think this horse is going really well. I think most of the market's really gravitated to the horses coming out of the Carbine, but I thought his run in the Tulloch was really, really good, and the form has stood up really. The winner of that race, Storm Leopard, has come out and, of course, finished 3rd in the Derby, and of course the stablemate, who finished I think 5th or 6th in that race, has come out and finished 2nd in the Derby. So he was a really good 2nd in that race. He should be rock hard fit now. I think there's South Australian derbies on the radar for him as well, but we know he can run the 2,000 nicely, and around $16. I think he's there to run well on Saturday.
Yeah, don't mind it as well. And Karen McAvoy on board obviously knows how to ride a stay, that's for sure. Get to the quaddies on the day, and if we get this, Gil, I reckon we're going to be paid nice and well, because if you get 92% of the Mornington quaddie on Cup Day, I reckon you're getting probably about $9,000.
Boy,
10 grand quaddie. I'm just thinking, Chartres win,
we need a couple of results.
Pop Award.
We need a couple of results. Yeah, that's
Chartres
right.
is an evening.
Pop Award,
good start.
No, yeah,
big six players.
Yes, but no. Look, I think the first two legs should be fairly straightforward, and then gets a little bit harder to come home with. But anyway, in the first leg, which is the Mornington Guineas, race 7, I've gone 2, 5, and 13. Satirically, I think is clearly the one to beat. Was a great win last start at Sandown. Ticks the boxes, doesn't it? Gay Waterhouse, Adrian Bott, Jet Stanley, drawn wide, fired out, forward, lead, win. So anyway, we'll see how that goes. Obvious is one was out of the same race as Satirically last start. Pulled up with an issue. Something must have gone wrong. Was sort of in the market. Was around the mark in the run, and then just absolute white flag job in the straight. It was too bad to be true. I saw in the vet thing it says pulled up lame. That was only a couple of weeks ago. And
beaten by McWoody Tubac, who won the 1,800 metre group race in South Australia on Saturday.
That's right. And heading, it would be one of the favourites for that SA Derby, you'd think. So anyway, that's more of a forgive, just put an asterisk on that. If we put a line through that, coming into this, say 3rd, 4th up with, 3, 2 and a creditable placing would be probably half that quote. So I'm having a little go there. I must admit I can never catch Greg Urell horses. Misrevealing the other Urell horse in the race again. Ready to peak 3rd up. So there we're going. 2, 5 and 13. I expect Satirically to win. I'd love Obvious to come out and beat him. In the Cup, Ambassadorial, straightforward tick. That's number 7. Number 12, See What I See. I think they'll be the straightforward. And just something about Pounding. He doesn't win races, but he bloody runs well. And speaking of Catherine Coleman, and she made a very good point. Doesn't matter what distance, what class, what grade, what track, what conditions. He just runs the same race. He goes at the back, steams home, runs an eye-catching run, and just doesn't win that often. But he might get his chance.
8 from 62 with 18 placings.
Yeah, he's just no weight, down in the weights. Luke Nolan, 54.5 kilos, not a bad effort, to be fair, for Trumby. Trumby has won a Mornington Cup before on Self-Sense, I think, for David Brighto. Yep. So, anyway, 7, 11, and 12 is where we're going in the Cup. In the Hariba, we got impacted a little bit by scratchings here, but we've pivoted. Pop Award will win. That's 8. La Fracas, number 12. Depends what the track. If it's a wet track, La Fracas will probably come out and spank them.
And Mornington, there's 50-50 chance it'll just rain anyway.
Yeah, who knows? And Recon, the local. Respect the local. Hi, Pat Carey, Harris Walker, locals. Paddy Maloney, a good North Melbourne man. So we've gone 8, 12, and 17. And I'll tell you what, a shout out to Craig Newitt. He's got himself a half apprentice claim on Racenet, which is great. So one of the most experienced jockeys in the jockeys room is Craig Newitt. He's claiming half a kilo, which is excellent. Well done to Craig. So we might have to get our
I'll get someone onto that
digital crew onto the Racenet form guides. There we go, Craig. He's a lightweight rider. Imagine he was able to claim half. And we come home in the last LOU. 2, 3, 10, and 14. LOU. She's better than this grade.
That's why she got 63.
Clearly has had some issues over the journey. Got Dakota Keene aboard in form, rode a winner last week at Caulfield. I don't know. I think she's just too good for these. So if she runs to form, she has performed. It doesn't often, usually takes a run or two, but I've got to take her in on class. Celsius Award has been racing consistently. Placed 3rd the past 5 starts. Hopefully goes a couple of spots better. Duchess Sue, the clear sort of winning chance, the obvious favourite to bring home. And Maldini, he'll be around the mark. I've gone Trumby again. Luke Nolan, 54.5 kilos for Moody Coleman to bring us home with a $17 chance in the last. Now, then we might actually win that $9,000 quaddie.
92%. 92% is what your $100 will get you.
All right, get on.
Yeah. Whereas, Mitch, we go to Randwick there. A couple of tricky races, of course, with the 2 Group 1s being in the quaddie, but we've also got the Hallmark, which looks an absolute cracker of a race.
Yeah, and let's not forget, last week you guys were potting me for having so many in the Sydney Cup, and I still couldn't find it at 60-1. That's why we went wide. It was a lottery.
We'll get over Soul of Spain at $9 eventually. That was
yeah,
not
we
a fun
will.
watch.
We will. We We can't have that one back. So starting this week in the Group 1, that's the Champagne. The 3 I mentioned, the 3 will take in the Quaddie, Campion d'Italia, Southend, and of course further down the list in Nomadic. So happy to have those 3 for all the reasons we mentioned earlier. Now the Hallmark, which is a good race. I've got the old boy in there. I can't be beaten by Private Eye. So we've gone 1, 3 and 8. Private Eye, of course, look, on his day, he's the best horse in this race, but he is getting on in years. He'll be headed towards Brisbane. Joker's Grin has to be the biggest don't know question mark of the meeting. He could come out and just win this race easily. We just don't know how he's going to settle in New South Wales. His trials have been really good, so he could certainly run a big race. He appears to be travelling great, but he is coming over from West Australia. And the 8, Kerguelen, he's just a horse that I've got to have in. I still think he could potentially be a Stradbroke horse. I think he'll get back and unleash. So 1, 3, 8 there in the Hallmark Stakes, the second leg of the Quaddie. Bit wider here in the All Age, as mentioned when we were talking about it. I think it's pretty wide open. I'm happy to go 1, 2, 6, 8 and 14. So that's Giga Kick, Jimmy Star, the 6 Pericles, the 8 Angel Capital, and the 14 Bavart in that race. So pretty open in the All Age, and we'll come home with 6, 7, 13 and 16. So this is a tricky race as well. I think Lord Penman, Windchat. I think the 13 Snow in May can run a really good race third up here. And if he gets in the field, I know he's a stayer, but God's Window, the 16, appears to be travelling well, coming off that first preparation in Australia. So if he gets in the race, I think he can run a cheeky race. There's a few there in the emergencies as well. I think we've got 5 emergencies from this race that are pretty hard in the market. So I think this market by Saturday morning, depending on what gets in the races, probably gets turned on its head as well if they don't get a start.
So that last race is pretty interesting, Gil, because we do see the return of Zambardo, who Mick Price said a long way out. He'll run in the benchmark 100 on the last day of the Sydney Carnival. On his way to Queensland, of course, may have killed his rating last start, given that he ran second in the McKinnon. Did pick up 540 grand.
Yep.
But he was a 78 rater going into it.
Yes. It only gets harder for him here, doesn't it? Look, I mean, this will be very much a fitness run.
Barrier 16, go forward, Sienna Grama.
Well, possibly, yeah. But no, look, I think Queensland's where he'll be doing some of his best work, and the challenge is, and they're under no illusions, is that this rating climb now, he's got to live in that company now. So how he goes in Queensland is yet to be determined. But as an owner, you've won, a decent whack of prize money, including
688,000 in total.
You've got your money there, no problem at all. And maybe when the rating slides back down, potentially you can start picking off some races. He's a quality horse, but he needs conditions.
Yeah, of course. But going into the news segment, obviously that is a piece of news. Obviously, Price and Ken Jr. with their Sydney stable, they are attacking these races and going up to Queensland. But what have we got going on? Because obviously Group 1's in Adelaide coming up as well. The next weekend we do have the Sangster and the Oaks. So plenty going on still at the moment here.
Yeah, no doubt. All eyes on Mornington. You know how much I love my locals down here in Victoria. But I had a good word to Jet Stanley, actually. So he's he's hoping for a smoother, at least finish to the Mornington Cup. If you go back to the Adelaide Cup, he rode a horse, American Wolf, won the Group 2 Adelaide Cup by absolute pimple, and then was basically dislodged 100 metres after the line.
One of the great celebrations, though.
Absolute great jubos. And that's the type of character that young Jet is. He's gone about it the hard way. He's took him a couple of times. Well, he couldn't get into the Victorian Apprentice School.
Went to Mitch Beard, didn't he?
He went to Perth, went to New South Wales, cut his teeth sort of, working hard on the fringes, and has now sort of come back into, the past 18 months, I suppose, based out of Melbourne. Melbourne's always been home for him, of course. Good Bendigo. Strong Bendigo links and family there with his father Brent, etc. It's just a great feel-good story. And like all jockeys, they go through the grind and the mental health, and he's very attuned to that. And the Launceston Cup, which he won a couple of months ago now, probably, that came at a perfect time. He was down in the dumps a little bit. A home-cooked meal from Mum. She just drove down from Bendigo to his house in Melbourne, unannounced, just basically knocked on the door and said, we're going to cook you up a feast and let's have a chat. And everything post that has sort of seems to have fallen into place for him. So it's just a great story, and he's just one of those hardworking, gives great feedback to trainers and jockeys, and you only have to look at his results, and he wins these races. And then people like Gay Waterhouse, I
wouldn't put him on for no reason.
That's right, and make it public. Congratulate him on Twitter and in phone calls, and so he's just that type of great character. So anyway, we were hoping he's got a bit to learn on Frankie Dettori for a flying dismount. Maybe he should save that for the mounting yard, not after the line. And as he said, not that this is a Group 1, but he said, his dream's obviously to win a Group 1, and he's actually not sure how he would celebrate for a Group 1. Like we saw him when he got dismounted in the Adelaide Cup. He basically ran back to the mounting yard on his own, like pumping the fists and all sorts of stuff. So he's just a great character, Jet, and all power to him. Got a bit of a task on Saturday on his American Wolf, dropping back from 3,200 to 2,400. But he might, and will probably go back. So it could be a bit of a challenge for him. But anyway, that's a pretty good story. I reckon you'll be reading tomorrow's Herald Sun or online at Racenet, of course. Spoken to Luke Cartwright as well. So, of course, that Mornington connection. This Haribo is a race that the family is so desperate and craving to win. And they hope that they can get their chance with Pop Award. And Corniche, for all of us out there that dream of buying tried horses and spending, and getting an instant return. They paid $85,000 ex-Godolphin Galloper, paid $85,000. He's basically won about 200 in 3 starts since, including a stakes race. So a whole bunch of new connections. Great for Sean Mathrick as well, getting a small stable. He picked off a few, actually. He's got there's a couple of others that he picked up.
Yeah, the Unflinching as well.
Yeah, that's right. Unflinching. So that's that'll make its way. I think that's in a race in Queensland, actually, on Saturday. So, they've come out, they've hit the ground running for him, and a whole bunch of new connections are enjoying a ride with these horses that sort of maybe met their marks or weren't quite able to maintain ties to a big sort of metro stable, but they've new lease of life.
Of course, the internet's gone down, so can't tell you if Corniche is running in Queensland this week.
No, Unflinching. Unflinching
is running. What have we got going on in Sydney, Mitch? Of course, still plenty going on. We do have the Group 1s this weekend before we hit the road for, the provincial and country carnivals.
Yeah, that's right. Look, Dobbo's got a cracker of a yarn this week. That'll be the main read in the paper on Friday in the form guides and be on all our channels later today. I would imagine that being Thursday, but he's had a good chat to a lady called Antonia Miles, who was a long-time staff member for Jerry Harvey, who has worked for Jerry and has purchased into Campion d'Italia. She paid $50,000, which she basically goes in the yarn. It was a lot of money and basically a scary amount of money for us to spend. But she always wanted to get involved in a horse, and Jerry always told her you got to get involved in a horse. But when she's picked this one, Jerry's basically had to warn her. Like these things, it might not work out, and warned her enough plenty of times that potentially it might not work out. But she took the plunge with her husband, and now this horse is worth squillions, isn't he? And he's worth even more if he wins on Saturday. So really a life-changing horse for them, even though I guess $50,000 is a lot of money to be spent. He's worth a lot more than that now. So he's obviously favourite in that size on Saturday. Now, Shano's done a terrific yarn as we've let him loose on these breeding yarns, and he's doing a great job. And he's now had a chat this week with the breeder who has the mare Confidential Queen, who, of course, is the mare that has produced Private Eye and King Secret, who will both bob up in the same race on Saturday. Now, she goes through it and says, look, you wouldn't have met a slower mare on the track, but she's now turned into a bit of a blue hen in the breeding stakes, hasn't she? She's produced some nice horses, and these two will clash for Joe Pride. On Saturday, I've had a bit of a chat with Gerald Ryan as well, who will have this exciting colt in Southend in that 2-year-old race on Saturday. He's hoping to get the Group 1, and he'd be a valuable boy as well if he wins on Saturday, being by Palace Pier. If he can come out and win a Group 1 in Australia, I think you've got yourself a guaranteed stud horse and stallion for the future on Saturday if he can win that Group 1. He thinks he's a really nice horse, had his eye on him since he was at the sales, and he's just he gets his chance on Saturday in that Group 1. But I guess away from the track, just a bit of news this week for those that might have missed it. The ATC have made the decision, and finally it's been announced that Steve McMahon is the chief executive going forward. He's been in that interim role for about 7 months. He's going to take that role going forward. Obviously, plenty of stuff still going on with the ATC, but a little bit of stability there. We've got one of those positions locked in. So, yeah, that's about the tail of the tape last Group 1 day. And then next week we just have the Gap weekend, of course. before we head on the Country Roadshow, the Gap weekend being, of course, if it does rain out. But we're getting no rain this weekend. It's a beautiful autumn up in Sydney. I don't know how it is down in Melbourne.
It was a good day in Sydney last week. I will say the weather did put on a day, but here in Melbourne, it's an absolute cracker today. Thought we would have let Shano a bit loose as well in the car stakes as well. You've got a 2 darn hot out of Zanbar, which is one of the relations. It's called Little Iris, related to Tortoni, Cherry Tortoni. Like, it's that whole family with the Tates. So Zanbar related to Ty the Knot. It's just that whole Sandy Tate family that goes back like 40 odd years back to when he had his original Golden Slipper winner with like Wild Iris and all that. So just that, I thought Shano would have gone loose there with the Tates and the red and the white. But
we can't give him too much, right? We can't give him.
we could honestly, we could fill every column on Racenet this weekend with things like that, because I looked below Aaron Joe by Vinny out of Lucia Valentina. So some nice fillies running around this weekend. Head to Racenet, check out all that, of course. But the best bets this weekend in the all-aged: Gills with Angel Capital. Mitch likes Giga Kick in the Champagne Stakes. Gills with Sumac, Camponi d'Italia for Mitch, Jigsaw and Jetabil in the Quokka. Best plays at Mornington: See What I See, Popperwood and Chartres. They're all up on your screen now. And Mitch likes Plaintiff, Portland and Eureka Rebel at Randwick. Now, as said, it is Quokka Day. But don't forget, you've also got the Joey, which is basically the repechage for the Quokka as well, and the Karrakatta Plate, $500,000 for the 2-year-olds there, their version of the Golden Slipper. And as said, next week, Adelaide, we have the Sangster and the Australasian Oaks at Morphettville. Plus, it is Champions Day. Karting Rising goes for 20 in a row, and Romantic Warrior takes on Masquerade Ball in the Cup. So, big weekend of racing coming your way. And make sure you follow the boys. Gil is at Gilbert, Gardiner, Mitch RW, Cohen, and the show's socials is at Racenet Tweets, as well as Facebook and Instagram. Make sure you do follow us on YouTube. Gil, thank you. Big week.
Thank you. Yes, looking forward to it. And no one's happier about the weather in Sydney this weekend than me, because I'll be up in Sydney, getting a bit of culture. And I thought I was going to the. I got roped into this.
You going to Sydney Derby Friday night?
No.
Going to see a good football team.
I got roped into going to the opera.
Oh, wait.
Oh,
we've gone 40 minutes. You're going to the opera.
So I thought, Phantom of the Opera, Sydney. Tickets weren't cheap. I'll have to win. Angel Capital will have to win to fund this whole exercise. And thinking, bucket list, why not? I can do a bit of this. And then I find out that the bloody thing's outdoors, isn't it? It's in that garden, whatever the garden you have there next to the opera house. So overlooking the back. So it's Phantom of the Opera and it's outdoor. And I said to my in-laws and my wife, I said, do you realise that all it does in Sydney in April is it rains 50 mil a day? Like, it's just what happens. Every Saturday it rains in Sydney. And how are we going to do this outdoor? Anyway, that was 6 months ago. So I've been watching the weather for the last 6 months on this weekend. Yeah. And I am thrilled, Mitch. I think you got 27 degrees tomorrow, which is lovely when I arrive. And then, nice and clear 20-something degrees on Saturday, which is excellent.
I was about to say, we'll find that poncho for you that we had in Hong Kong the one time it rained there as well. Put that on you as well. And, it's a big weekend ahead. So thank you, Mitch.
No worries, boys. I've been to the Sydney Opera House, I think, 3 times in the past 12 months. So I broke the shackles, and now I just go all the time. I'm a man of culture, Gil. I'm all about it. You'll love it.
I think I've been once. I think I went to a comedy show there, and also shout out to one of our co-workers, Ben, with his lovely other half, Georgia. They get married tomorrow as well, so I'll be there enjoying myself tomorrow. But thank you for joining us this week on Out the Gate. Good luck if you're having a bet. Dan Sank, you'll be in the chair next week hosting. We'll catch you next week on Out the Gate.
Could muscle memory from clockwise training throw off a horse's stride on anti-clockwise tracks? Now that's something to think about. You win some, you lose more.